bring you honor and glory. In your Son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Tiller. This time, Ty Condi and Sam Helton will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone, please stand. Let me start by welcoming some of the police officers who have come today to support you guys. Our boss is on the back. Sergeant Newberg is here. Major Atkinson is here. Lieutenant Carter, I saw him earlier. He's here. Okay. Ava Radley, Chris Williams, Austin Ernst, and Cole Glass is here. Thank you. Okay. Just to tell you a little bit about the program and what your young people have done since they've been in this program. D.A.R.E is Drug Abuse Resistance Education. It started in 1983 by former Police Chief Daryl Gates of the Los Angeles Police Department. Murfreesboro Police Department began teaching D.A.R.E in the city schools in 1992 and continue to teach it in all the schools, including 2 private schools, MTCS and St. Rose. D.A.R.E is currently taught in approximately 80% of the United States school districts in 54 countries around the world. It's a cooperative effort between law enforcement and the school system. Uniformed officers teach a 10-week course to study to show the students how they can live productive and drug-free and violence-free lives. Some of the topics that your young people have seen are decision-making skills, risk and consequences, dealing with stress, bullying, being part of a community, health effects of drug use, responding to peer pressure, communication skills, and empathy. As you can see, there's a life skills class. There's not a drug identification program. At no point was drugs ever brought to the classroom to show the students. With our graduation today, these students are joining over 37 million D.A.R.E graduates who benefited from the D.A.R.E program. This time I'd like to invite our principal, Dr. Maxwell, to the podium.
Good morning. Boys and girls, I wanted to just take a few minutes this morning to talk to you and tell you how very proud I am of you for the hard work that I know through being a teacher in the schools for years that you go through to complete this program, and my own children have completed it, so I know what it takes to complete the program. But more importantly, I want to talk to you about using the tools and using the things you've learned. So you may not think today, you may think this is something I'm never going to be faced with, or I'm never going to do that, or I'm never going to know someone who has a problem or needs my help. But I can promise you, of the group of you sitting in this room, someone in this room may be faced with an opportunity to say no, an opportunity to help a friend say no, or an opportunity to help a family member. And so I would just encourage you to hold tight to what you've learned. Hold tight to what you've been called to do by Christ, and hold tight to your principles. And if you marry those things together, you'll be stronger. You'll be ready when that time comes. So I'm very proud of you, and congratulations on completing the program. I would like at this time to introduce our speaker. David Skidmore has been in youth ministry for 23 years and has spent the last 17 at North Boulevard Church of Christ, where he works with 400 7th through 12th graders. It's a wonder he has a brain that age. David and his wife of 23 years, Melissa, have 3 daughters, Daisy Sue, Annabelle, and Lila Mae. David is a graduate of the University of Memphis, where he did his undergraduate work in the area of interpersonal and family communication dynamics, and received a master's in small group communication dynamics. In addition to attending the University of Memphis, he also taught speech and oral communication as an adjunct professor. David loves authentic Mexican tacos and is a collector of old metal lunchboxes and vintage toys. But his biggest passion is being a sycamore tree for teens, lifting them above the distractions of the crowd that they might see the approaching Savior. Join me in welcoming David Skidmore.
Good morning, guys and girls. So good to see you. I know a lot of you. Some of you I don't know, but thank you, Dr. Maxwell and Mr. Tiller, and to all the officers, thank you so much for your service to our community. It's an honor to be here, and all the family members, welcome. I know you're proud of your kids. I know you're not here to hear me, so I want to share with your students two things real quick, and then we'll get to the graduation. So one of the toughest things that you all are going to face in the coming years is the challenge to try to be somebody that you're not. I've done youth ministry for 23 years. I work with students a little bit older than you, but I watch students all the time try to be somebody that they're not. And it almost never goes well. But I can tell you about a time that I tried to be somebody that I wasn't. It was in a little safer environment. In 1977, which is a long, long time ago, there was a movie that came out that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. How many Star Wars fans do we have with some of you all, right? I was a big Star Wars fan when it came out that year, and I remember being I was a young child. I was about 6 or 7 years old. I was watching the movie, and I still remember sitting beside my family watching the movie in Cleveland, Tennessee, and the movie begins, and Darth Vader comes through the door of the spaceship. You remember the beginning of one of the first Star Wars movies. Well, I remember watching that movie, leaning over to my mom and telling my mom, that's who I'm going to be for Halloween. And she was like, okay, whatever. I said, no, that's who I'm going to be for Halloween, because I'm going to be so scary that when I dress up like that and I go to the doors of our neighbors, they're going to be so scared, they're going to literally throw candy at me to get off their lawn, because they're going to be so afraid, and this is going to be incredible. My mom was like, fine. I said, Mom, when the store's open, I want you to go down and get that costume. And so she did, and I was ready, and I thought this is going to be great. Well, I brought that costume with me because I still have it. This is it right here, and the adults in the room are going to remember how awesome these costumes were, right, parents? You remember these? And so I got the costume, and I opened it up, and I was a little disappointed because I remember what Darth Vader looked like, and this wasn't quite as intimidating as what I saw on the screen. But it's okay. Now the little plastic string fell off, I'm sure, the time I put the mask on. How many of the parents in the room had a mask, a costume kind of like this, right? And you put that mask on, and you remember these eye holes would cut scars into your eyes because this plastic was so very sharp. The only thing that was realistic is when I wore it, I actually sounded like Darth Vader. You know why? Because there are only 3 holes in this mask, and none of them line up with any of the holes on your face. So I couldn't breathe when I had it on, and I sounded very real. But when you put this mask on like this, from the front it looks okay, but from the side, it's not as scary. That was okay. It looked kind of like Darth Vader. Then I got to this. Yeah, this, kids, is a cape. And I was very disappointed because it looked nothing like the cape in the movie that I saw. And I asked my mom, I said, what is that? Is that a bib? What is that for? Is that for me to put? And she said, no, honey, that's your cape. And I was very, very sad. And the only thing that got worse is when I then opened up this part. All right, this would be too short if I was 3 feet tall. And there were no boots. It's sleeveless. So I did get to show off my awesome biceps at Halloween, but Darth Vader didn't do that. So I look like Darth Vader from Arkansas. No offense if you're from Arkansas. But I was walking around with a cut-off shirt, and then I saw this, and this really made me mad, because we all know Darth Vader doesn't look like this. I mean, he looks like this, but his costume doesn't. I said, Mom, this isn't the costume. Where's the costume? She says, honey, that's the costume. I said, no, there's supposed to be a box with buttons that light up. She said, honey, this is so people know what Darth Vader looks like. I said, Mom, I'm wearing this 3 inches above that. It's the same. They're going to know it's Darth Vader. Now, granted, you can tell I'm still a little bitter. I'm 47. That's 40 years later. I'm still a little bitter about it. Anyway, I put this on. My mom made me some gloves. She took took some yellow dish gloves, dyed them with black dye, and I wore dish gloves that came up to here. I had rain boots, and then I wore all the rest of this, and let's just say that when I went to the door, nobody was afraid. They all knelt down and said, "And who are you supposed to be? Are you supposed to be Darth Vader? Oh, aren't you so cute?" That's not what I was going for. I really wanted to be scary. Well, I've kept this costume, one, just because we kept a lot of our stuff over the years. Those of you that know me know that's true. But I've kept this costume because as I've worked with students, and the reason I show it to you today, there's not a person in my neighborhood that believed that I was really Darth Vader. They saw right through my disguise. I've worked with students for 23 years, and starting in about the 7th or 8th, 9th grade, the world's going to try to get you to be somebody that you're not. And they're going to say, "Hey, you should really look like this." I'm not talking about costumes for Halloween or for a costume party. I'm just talking about a different personality or a different attitude. And people are going to say, "Hey, we want you to look and act like this." And I see students all the time that tried to hide behind some sort of disguise that they're trying to use to impress everybody else. And let me just tell you, students, that everybody can see right through that. And they know that it's not really you. So don't try to be somebody that you're not. You all spend a lot of time talking about drugs and alcohol and other choices that students are faced with, especially as you get older. And I'll tell you that a lot of students I know that have given in to some of those temptations, they then try to put on some sort of disguise to hide the fact that they're ashamed that they've done something they shouldn't do, and it's really easy to see through those things. Well, that's my first point. Don't try to be somebody that you're not, because it can come across, it's not quite as funny and adorable as I was when I was 7 years old, but sometimes it can be pretty sad to see somebody try to hide behind a fake disguise. Well, I got one more point that I want to share with you, and this is probably the biggest challenge that I see teens facing. Now, I'm going to need somebody to help me demonstrate this, and because this is on Facebook Live, I'm not able to step away from this microphone, so somebody's going to have to help me. I'm not going to be able to talk away from here. So I need, is there somebody's going to help me? Tripp, you want to help me out? Okay. Here's what I want you to do, Tripp, all right? I'm going to step away from the mic just a second to set these down on the ground, okay? All right? All right, now Tripp, we're going to demonstrate something that I hope you students never forget. Now there's about 20 sheets of paper down there. Some of them are stacked on top of each other, so you can separate them. I want to tell you this, Tripp. 10 of them have one word on them, and 10 of them have the other word. 10 of them say truth, and 10 of them say untruth. Now, your job, Tripp, is you're going to separate them, truth and untruth. But you cannot lift them up, and you can't look at them. All right? So I just want you to start and just put some in one stack and put some in another stack, okay? You can just put one over there, very good, okay? And then you can put one, okay, all right, good. Put one over here, all right? You just can't lift them up and look at them, okay, very good. Let's do one more, okay, all right. Let's do that, okay, very good. All right, nice work. He's separating truth from untruth. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to stop for just a second. You've already done half of them. Hand me this stack right here, Tripp. All right, now we're going to see how you did. First of all, how do you think you did, Tripp, in separating truth from untruth? Do you think all of these are going to say the same thing? You don't know. All right, well, let's see. Let's see how you did. All right, untruth. All right, we got, so this is our untruth stack. So all of these should say untruth. Nice. This is going really well. Untruth. Oh, wow. Oh, you know what? You failed. This one says truth. And I'm actually thankful because you would have destroyed my whole point here. But we would have just had you keep going. So sorry, you messed up. You didn't do it. All right, so here's what we're going to do, okay? I could let you try it again. And chances are, let's just see that stack. Let's see how you did on that stack right there. Maybe you did better on this stack. Okay, truth. All right. Oh, good. Truth. Nice. Oh, untruth. And untruth. You actually did worse on this stack. Oh, wow, Tripp, you must feel terrible because you just completely blew it. All right, now, Tripp, I want you to turn around for just a second. Yeah, put those down on the ground. Just turn around, and I'm going to mix them up. I'm going to step away from the mic one more time and turn them around just a second, okay? All right, Trip, you can turn back around. Now this time we're going to play the game, and we're going to do it a little differently. And I want everybody to watch carefully what's going to happen. Now, Trip, you're going to try to separate truth from untruth. Now this is going to require you to think. And most times when I do this, people think I'm not exactly sure what to do. So think really carefully. This time, you can lift up the sheets of paper. You can lift them up off the ground. But you, Trip, you can't look at them on the other side. Okay? You can't look at them. But listen carefully. You can lift them up, but you can't look at them to read them. All right? So I want you to think really carefully, Trip. How do you think you can do this to where you can separate truth from untruth on your first try? Now, you can't look at them. No, you can't look at them, but you can lift them up. Now, wait a minute, Trip. You just tried this, right? You just showed us that doesn't work. You could probably do that 20 times, and my guess is you're not going to get 10 that say truth and 10 that say untruth, even though you did really good, but you still failed. So you can lift them up, but you can't look at them. Nope, you can't look at it. Anybody have an idea? Oh, wait, look, Trip, you got some ideas out there. Somebody, pick one of your friends. Huh. Okay. Now, you can't look at them, Trip. All right, just put it, very good. Okay, all right, very good. That goes over there. All right, now do one more. All right, now Trips. Oh, good. I can't see him either, guys. All right, very good. Now, Trip, come here. This time, my guess is if we continued on, you're going to get 100%. Is it because you suddenly got so much smarter? No. Do what? Yeah. Because, and how many of you had the same idea? Right? Now, this is the last thing I want you to understand, because, Trip, I've shared this with college students, I've shared this with high school students, and I've shared this with elementary school students. And every time we do it, people are like, well, how am I going to do it? How am I going to do it if I can't look at them? I tried and I failed. And then every time there's somebody in the audience, this time there was a lot of you, that raise their hand and say, show it to us. And as soon as you lift it up, now, they could have tried to throw you off and try to joke with you and say the wrong thing, but I don't think, most of them, they were all saying the right thing. And because you showed it to them, Trip, you separated truth from untruth. Trip, you can have a seat. Let's give Trip a big hand. Hey, students, I'm going to read a verse in a second, but the last thing I want you to hear me say before I show you what God says is that this is going to be the fundamental challenge of your life. And this isn't just something that 5th and 6th graders struggle with. This is something that college students and those of us that are 40 years old and those that have been married for 50 years, we still struggle with separating truth from untruth. It's awesome that you're going to get a certificate with your name on it that says you've done a lot of work for this program. And I'm thankful to those that have poured a lot of time in that. But you're still human. Trip's a good guy. I know Trip. I know his family. But it was still difficult for him to separate truth from untruth until somebody said, hey, Trip, we're in this together, and you show it to us, and we'll tell you what it says. I guarantee you, students, you are not going to make it unless you surround yourself with people who say, show it to me, and surround yourself with the kind of people that are going to tell you the truth about how to separate truth from untruth. It was so cool to watch Trip hold that up and every one of you say, untruth. And he knew where it went. Truth. He knows where it goes. Untruth. And you guys helped him separate that out. That's the simplest way that I can illustrate to you this morning of what the rest of your life is going to be like. And it's a lot easier when you surround yourself with friends that'll help you do that. Let me close with a passage from Romans. Paul says, therefore, I urge you, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, because your bodies are important. And that's what the D.A.R.E program is about, how to take care of your bodies. Offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship. Don't conform any longer to the pattern of this world. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. But be transformed by the renewing of your mind. In other words, being able to separate truth from untruth. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. So, next time you find yourself in a situation where you're like, man, I just don't know what to do. Hopefully you've surrounded yourself with a bunch of people like this that can say, hey, show it to us. We'll tell you what's true, and we'll tell you what's untrue. Hey guys, I'm really, really, really proud of you. And I don't just say that because I'm a youth minister. I don't say it because I'm a speaker. I say it because I'm a father of 3 daughters, and I know what it's like to have kids that make wise choices. And on behalf of all the parents, all the teachers, all the faculty, and all the officers, man, you guys have done a great job. Keep it up, and we'll see you along the way, okay? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. It means so much to have support from your parents and your family, and even some of the other young people from the school who came today. I appreciate you guys coming. At this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Jernigan to the podium.
Good morning. It's my honor to congratulate all my awesome kids on their hard work. So I'll start with Taylor Beatty. Tate Cantrell. Ty Conde. Bailey Culpepper. Luke DeSalvatore. Clay DeMott. Aiden Ellis. TJ Finley. Hudson Ford. Gentry Gordon. Carter Hancock. Jackson Piercy. Addison Sane. Anna Clay Shirley. Jensen Spry. And Emerson Tollison.
I'd like to thank Ms. Jernigan for allowing me to come to her class and giving up her valuable instruction time so that I could spend some time with the young people also.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
it.
Now we're going to talk about the boy and girl from Ms. Jernigan's class. The boy and girl is a voted situation where the young people vote for the people that they believe will be drug-free and violence-free for the rest of their lives. The 2 people who were chosen by the class, the boy is TJ Finley. And the girl is Anna Clay Shirley. Next is the essay. Some of the requirements for the essay, possible topics that the students may talk about are: how do they feel about the D.A.R.E program, what they've learned during the D.A.R.E program, and why they think it's important to be drug-free, make better decisions, and be able to deal better with peer pressure. This is the hardest part for the D.A.R.E instructors because I have to read all these reports and I have to pick 3 from each class. And believe me, they're all good. And it's a very hard decision for me to make. With that being said, 3rd place winner for Miss Jernigan's class is Aiden Ellis. Second place is Jackson Piercy. First place is Taylor Beatty. First place gets to read their essay to you today, so Taylor will start by reading hers.
This year, we learned about saying no to drugs, alcohol, and smoking. We also learned about dealing with peer pressure. We also learned about bullying and a few other things. It helped us learn the consequences of smoking and drinking. It also encouraged us not to do drugs or drink or smoke. D.A.R.E taught us how to deal with peer pressure, like how you don't have to do everything your friends say, that telling an adult if another kid asked you to smoke or offered you a beer is not snitching or tattling. That also taught us not to be afraid of speaking up. D.A.R.E taught us to say no to alcohol. They also taught us how to better protect ourselves in any unsafe or uncertain situation. They also taught us not to drink, and it taught us that it can affect our thinking. D.A.R.E taught us about drugs. It helped us understand the consequences and effects of doing drugs. It also helped us understand what doing drugs could do to our lives. It helped us learn how to say no to drugs. I believe it's important to stay drug-free, because if you do, you may have a healthier and longer life. I feel that all kids should have a D.A.R.E education. I think the D.A.R.E program is very helpful because it helps us understand what would happen if we did smoke or if we did do drugs. That's why I think D.A.R.E is important. This is why I promise not to do drugs.
Very good. This time I ask Ms. McKnight to come to the podium.
Good morning, guys. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. First up, Trip Adams. Nolan Brownlow. Addison Burks. Jada Burns. Nick Coggin. Colton Dawson. Lawson Gillespie. James Hancock. Sam Hilton. Hudson McElhaney. Jackson Nichols. Bradley Polk, Issa Prater, Emma White Reeves, Elena Reynolds, Brody Shaver, Beck Stanley, and Ben Young.
Thank you, Ms. McKnight, for sharing your young people with me. I had a great time in there, and it was good to just spend time with these young people, and I think I learned as much from them as they do from me sometimes. The boy for Ms. McKnight's class is Bradley Polk. And the girl is Elena Reynolds. Third place essay winner is Beck Stanley. Second place is Sam Helton. And the first place winner is Jackson Nichols.
I learned a lot of things during D.A.R.E. I learned to stay drug-free, make better decisions, and deal better with peer pressure. D.A.R.E. encourages you to do all of these. I think that is important. I think it is important to stay drug-free because you could get really sick. It could also be illegal. There's also a possibility it could hurt other people. You would be a bad influence and it could kill you. It's important to make better decisions. It would set an influence on others. Everyone will think you are a good influence. It would help you survive too. Also because it's the right thing to do. Last, it's important to deal with peer pressure. That way you won't have a nervous breakdown. Others will look up to you. Nobody will think you are scared. It will also help you to do the right thing. D.A.R.E. is very helpful. It makes me want to try to do my best to stay away from drugs, make better decisions, and deal better with peer pressure. It's not right to do drugs and drink alcohol. It makes me want to try and be a better person.
Very good. All right. Dr. Maxwell, if you'll come forward, I have a gift for you. Thank you so much for letting me come to your school and spend time. Yes, ma'am. Mr. Skidmore. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate you. And President Tiller. Thank you so much, sir. If you guys will look on the back of your program that we gave you at the beginning of the class, you'll see a list of our sponsors without whom the program wouldn't be necessary. Wouldn't be possible. One of our big sponsors is right behind you, TV Channel 3. You guys are live on Facebook today and going out nationwide, I guess I should say. One of our big sponsors is Skate Center West, which will provide a free skate night for you guys for the graduates. I don't have the dates on that yet, but when I do, I will send out something to the parents. I appreciate all y'all coming today, showing your support of these students and continued efforts to make good decisions and be drug and violence free. This will conclude our program. Thank you. If we can have the winners come up, I'd like to take a couple of pictures, please.